Hey everybody, welcome back. We're in the lab again. Just wanted to check in because I showed this knife the other day, unboxed it. It is a Case Texas Jack, and I've been carrying it. But the other day also I mentioned that when I bought this, it was relatively new, and I did know this, but it was sold with a little bit of tarnishing, or I would say maybe even rust on the secondary blade. It didn't bother me too much, honestly. It is, you know, it's going to happen with carbon steel, or in this case CV, chrome vanadium steel. Uh, but in this case, it does look like it's rust, and I thought, you know what? Let's try to see what we can do about getting that off. And I don't mind a little patina, but you really don't want to let rust begin to develop, and this looks like it's on the level of rust because it really does begin to degrade the uh degrade the um what would it be, like the quality of the steel, compromise it kind of. So we really want to try and take care of that before it gets worse. And we're going to try and do that today. Now, I don't really 100% know how I'm going to tackle this, but something that I've used in the past um, has been something to polish it. So there's different ways of approaching that, and that's what we're going to be doing that. But before we get into that, let's do a quick little pocket check. And today, and as I'm filming this, it was actually Memorial Day, so I was carrying this around. I figured, this is a nice piece that's versatile. And actually, if you wanted to, I've used this a little bit to food prep. I find that it's actually the most uh, kind of versatile knife for that. It's got a nice belly. If you wanted to cut, if you wanted to puncture, open boxes, it's got it all. It's got a nice long blade relative to some of the other pocket knives. And if you just wanted to use it for a meal, you actually have a nice little, almost like a dinner knife. This is the Great Eastern Cutlery GEC 72 pattern, in ebony covers. It's really nice fit and finish on these ebony covers, I'll say. That's Ebony's one of my favorite woods. I'll probably end up doing another video on different ebony knives that I've got. I just can't get my hands off of ebony. I love the way it feels. I like the way it looks. And I think it's actually very durable for what it is. It just feels like it's a very hard material. It's almost like, I mean, if I had to choose between this and some synthetic material, I would go for this 100 times out of 100. Even though, yes, over time it can split. I'm actually trying to consider how I'm going to handle a knife that I showed the other day, which is a much older knife made with ebony. Is this Cattaraugus, has a split right here. Okay. And I don't know if I should just leave it be or try to put something in there to stabilize it. But that's the only other problem that I would say is you're going to have it with wood. You're just going to have it. But, so far, I'm loving this knife. It's developing a little patina from some of the usage, but not much, actually. I've actually kind of cleaned it up a little bit using the method I'm going to work on today. So I just wanted to show this. And you know what else I'm going to do? Something that I haven't done yet. And this channel's mostly been about knives, but I actually wanted to sprinkle in, and I don't know what you guys think about it, but I may end up kind of eventually mixing in some watch collecting. And I know some of you guys watching this came for the knives, and you're probably thinking, what the heck? Why would I want that? I actually think there's more in common with especially traditional knives and watch collecting than there is other hobbies. I collect mechanical watches, and in a day and age where everybody either has a digital watch or an Apple Watch, why would you need a watch? Well, I definitely think it's same reasons why a traditional pocket knife has that intentionality, that charm. It's the same with watches. You know, there's watches that you can wear, and there's an ability to kind of wear that and also empower yourself to give it a story and a life of its own. So today I am doing a little wrist check. All right, so here I've got, oh boy, a lot of glare. I'm gonna have to learn how to do watches. I'm wearing my Bell & Ross. This is a watch that I got actually on this same strap, and I do change straps with my watches. Um, and this is a mechanical automatic watch, and for those who don't maybe know as much, man, I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with this glare. That's my light that just keeps on trying to get in the frame. But anyway, I got this watch on my honeymoon back in 2016. We went to Europe and we were in London. Went into Selfridges, which is a big department store there, and found this and just fell in love. And for those who don't know a lot about mechanical watches, I'm hoping that maybe we can get you initiated. This watch is completely mechanical, which means the internal mechanism runs with this. Let's see if you can see it ticking away there. That's the heartbeat. That's what's keeping the timing. And that oscillates like that all day, every day. And this thing that's moving around, and you can see it kind of moving, is a rotor that winds a small hairspring, and that hairspring slowly releases its energy like any other spring, and essentially that is what powers the watch. And by just the simple art of wearing the watch and winding it and setting it, you're basically powering the watch without any external mechanisms other than your own body. So I kind of like the eternal nature of that. You know, it's like this the simplest type of mechanism that you need. I'll never need a battery. I'll never need to update my watch like an Apple Watch. I'll never, I mean, Apple Watches, even mechanical watches, or, you know, I had an Apple Watch actually, the first generation. It just stopped working. And you're not repairing that. The battery dies. You're not, you know, I mean, like these things are not things you give to anybody, let alone pass on to your kids. But this Swiss made watch is something I'll probably be able to give to my kid. And there's a story here, and it came on this strap. There was actually a second strap. There's another strap that it came with. And I said to the guy that was there, like, hey, I'm on my honeymoon. And he said, hey, what size wrist do you have? And he pulled this extra strap out. It's actually a Bell & Ross branded strap, which in itself probably would cost maybe $100. But he was like, you know, I'd really like you to have this. And I was able to leave with two straps at the same time. And I just thought it was an amazing watch at the time. I still do. It's going to be with me forever. And every time I look at it, it is a bit of a reminder of that time. So anyway, I know we're not here for that, but I think I'm going to start mixing in a little bit of watch content. I'll probably end up not focusing on both at the same time. So don't worry if you're here just for the knife stuff. That's all good. I'll probably end up doing like I'll just have one for each, and you can kind of know before you click on it what's going on. But anyway, that's the wrist and what's in your pocket check. Put away the 72 for now. Leave it up here in the corner. Maybe I'll just put it right here for now. And let's tackle this. Now for this, what I usually like to do is, I don't know if anybody else has used this, but it's actually called Cape Cod polishing cloths. So inside here will be little materials, and like you can actually cut these down to size. And essentially it's sealed so you can reuse them as much as you want. And it comes essentially impregnated with a polishing compound. And I've already used this a bunch, but it's still got life in it. So I'm going to try and tackle this rust. And there's the before, right? And so all you got to do is essentially rub it on your material. It doesn't have to be anything super super complicated. And I'm hoping that this polishing material still has enough life that, and again, no big deal if it doesn't work. We'll either get another piece out, or I may end up using something a little bit more abrasive. But this is pretty, what I find is this works really well for polished surfaces. And actually, I use this for, again, maybe that's the reason I kind of brought it up, was I was thinking what I usually used to use this on is watches sometimes. You know, if you need to buff up a little polished surface on a watch, you don't want to, maybe, you know, the reason it gets really dark is because that's all metal that's coming off of your material. So you don't want to be going down in here willy-nilly and just rubbing everything with this stuff. It does also kind of leave a greasy residue, so it is a little bit annoying in that way. So you want to get everything ready, and then you're going to have to do some cleaning too once you're done. But we do have a legitimate reason to remove some metal here in this case, because it is, you see it getting really cloudy. That's not the camera, that's actually compound there, that's all gunking up everywhere. So that's all stuff we're going to clean off. That's not a big deal. So I'm going to continue to work on this. Not very exciting, I'm sorry to say, but you know, we're just hanging out, right? And I'm just going in long, even strokes. And then essentially, let's see, I'm actually going to increase the, there we go. You want to be careful too that I'm doing this and I'm not trying to put too much pressure on the blade, because this is taking away small bits of material, and you don't really necessarily want to completely dull out your edge. But again, that's all fine and dandy, because you should be able to just really have the ability to resharpen your own blades. So it's not a big deal, but I like to just make sure that I'm not obviously cutting myself, but also not taking down my blade too much. Sorry if this is not that fun to watch, but there you go. So that's the first pass. Now you can see how cloudy it is. I'm taking a clean Kleenex, gonna wipe off that material, and maybe we can see how it ends up. There you go. A lot better. I still see a little bit there, but as you can see, it's really a lot better. And to the touch, it's really smooth and polished at this point. I don't know if you can, how close you can get to it there, seeing it. It's tough to catch. I mean, this high gloss is hard to catch. So let me put this down for a second. Hopefully now you can start to see that it looks a lot better. The other thing I do is, I don't know if anybody else uses this, but I'll take a little bit of alcohol and just put it on a cloth, just like that. And I'll once over on both sides. And this is just something I do generally just to bring back, you know, get off some grease, get off some grime. It's just regular maintenance, right? And that allows you to really see what you're dealing with. Okay. Put that aside, and now we can actually see the blade, and there you go. So you can still see that there is obviously going to be some rust, some patina there, but I can definitely tell you, at least from my feel, it's smooth. So I don't know what it is that's there, but we're going to need to knock it back a little bit more just to get down there, and then we'll go ahead and oil it and protect it from there. Honestly, for most people, this will be fine. It doesn't seem to be corroding that much or pitting or anything to my fingernail. It barely, I don't know why it's that color, but at this point, it's almost just like a patina. It's almost like somebody must have had some, some moisture, or looks almost like a mustard got on it somehow, because it's just like that yellow patina. But like I said, I'll probably end up running through again and doing another run through with a polishing cloth. But in this case, this is all you really need. And you don't have, although it is polishing cloth that is for metal, I'll be honest, it actually could be used for a lot of things. I'll tend to, if I need to, maybe I'm wrong for doing this. Again, you know, we're all learning together, but obviously, I'll do my bolsters, no problem. Bolsters are great, but I'll do my bone a little bit too. I'm not going to go through this and do a ton, but here you go. You can actually hit your, springs just like that. All right. And you can do your bolsters, and you can actually hit up your bone and your shield real nice. Maybe I'll just do half. Yeah, let's do half. Let's see what that looks like. I'll end up doing the rest, but for now, let me just do half and see what kind of results we get. And this knife is brand new. I mean, it's from the year 2000, so it's not literally brand new, but it was new to me, and it wasn't really used. It just was sold with some patina on that blade like we saw, and I knew that when I got it, and so I was happy to take it on. And I knew that that wasn't, I'm not one that, you know, I'm not going to be like reselling and everything. So I was happy to take that on. And, you know, I'm not really a case collector per se, so I don't really mind. I'm probably going to end up using it. It doesn't have to be like as new quality or condition. So that's how that looks. All the hardware is going to be quite greasy, and it's got all kinds of gunk and stuff all over it, so I'll end up taking just a regular. And see this? That's all, you know, you want to keep this in mind. A lot of people will willy-nilly kind of rub stuff and do compound, but that's all material, that's metal, that's coming off. You know, that's either from the steel or the bolsters or wherever. So, you know, be cognizant of the fact that you're really taking material away. That's what polishing really is. I don't know if that should be mentioned. Sometimes people just don't know what they're doing. They think polishing is somehow just like cleaning it, but it really is trying to take away like the top most microscopic level and flattening it out. And that's fine, but just know that you're not necessarily always going to help the situation by simply taking away material. You know, that can lead to some problems, especially if you're trying to already work with something that's already very old and there's not a lot of material left to take away. All right, so again, I'm just wiping it down one more time. And this is kind of the finished product here. I've got, you know, I mostly did this side. This side I didn't really touch up. So I mean, it was already new and in good condition. But we're just here hanging out, working on our knives a bit, tuning them up to spec. You know, I think this looks a lot better. Honestly, I could live with this. I don't think it really needs a ton more. I may end up running it through again a couple times, but it's smooth to the touch. And a little patina, I mean, it's going to end up building up more patina anyway. So I don't think that's going to be a real problem or an issue for me. But just try to get this bolster up to speed. And there it is. You know, that's what it looks like. As compared to over here, which is, you know, same thing. It's not in bad condition, but in terms of bringing the knife back to its shine and its luster, that's kind of how I would do it usually. Again, I don't do this too often. I'm not one of those people. Sorry, I hit the camera. I'm not one of those people that really gets really big into keeping everything shiny and new. But if I were to do it, and sometimes it needs it, I do it with this cloth, and it works pretty good for me. I mean, there's a couple other products, and we can go through that another time. But for me, this is really how it's. I think it's the best way to do it. It's the quickest way. It gets the best results. And again, I'll probably end up wiping everything down again one more time with a nice clean cloth. I mean, this is the typical cloth that I use for everything. But after a polish like this, sometimes you can wipe it down a little bit better. And if you're doing a lot of work, you know, nothing beats an actual washing. And that's another whole nother topic. But if you really wanted to really restore it, you could get, you know, in there with a brush and wash it out and clean it and use a little mild soap. And but this is brand new. Like you can see, it's clean. There's nothing in there, so you don't really need to go through all that. But if it was dirty and had gunk and blood and guts, and yeah, you wanna do a little bit better. But that is basically brand new, ready to go. You know, I think that's all it needs. I'm just inspecting it one more time, but I mean, this is ready to be carried proudly. This is the Case Texas Jack. Anyway, guys, video's getting way long. I'm not gonna edit it. You know me. I'm not doing all that because I really don't know how. It's just gonna get uploaded. I don't know if you guys even want to watch this, but I figured I'm here. Let's hang out. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate the people who have. Love talking to everybody. Hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend. I'd like to thank all our service members or people who have had family members out there. Obviously, you know, Memorial Day is about celebrating the people that made the ultimate sacrifice. So we do appreciate that, and sometimes that gets lost. So appreciate you if you're in the services. And feel free to leave a comment, reach out. Love hearing from you. See you in the next one, guys.